Okay, so I'm going to be running through today a potential prediction, a potential scenario, which I think is definitely one of the maps that needs to be considered. I haven't seen that much discussion of it, but I think it can explain why Trump is spending some time trying to capture the Nebraska second district. And this scenario would involve uh, a score of 270 or 271 to 268 or 267. So basically, a 2000 type scenario where Trump or Biden, in this case Biden, would end up winning, but he would not have a mandate necessarily. So we're going to characterize first the likely states. Fortunately, I can't. I don't think that there are that many likely. That there are that many likely Republican states. I think you jump straight to lean Republican states when you talk about Texas, when you talk about Georgia, for instance. Yeah, and even Georgia I would characterize as tilt. Uh, North Carolina I characterize as tilt, at least for this scenario. I tilt red. Tilt red for Iowa because polls have shown a narrowing in the past few weeks. A tilt red, I would think, also for Ohio. A tilt red for Pennsylvania. A likely blue for Virginia, and New Hampshire, a lean blue, I would say, and likely blue for Maine. So Florida will end up being tilt red, and this is where the scenario comes in because we have 269 to 267 means Biden is just one electoral college vote away from winning the presidency, and he can get this either through winning Nebraska second district or Maine second district, and polls have shown uh, Biden leading in Nebraska second district. So with that, he actually gets it. Now I'm going to run through why this map is actually likelier than one would think, because at least in Pennsylvania, there is a narrowing of the polls due to Biden not being exactly clear on his plans for fracking, and whereas Michigan and Wisconsin seem to have a bit larger margin for this election. The polls could obviously be wrong, but at least in this scenario, Pennsylvania appears to be a lot closer than Michigan and Wisconsin. Now, if we look at some of the polls here, uh, Michigan will be leading by 8 points. Wisconsin, similarly, 8 points. There's obviously that poll which shows Biden up by 17. If there's a scenario that takes into account 271 to 267, it's not going to be by 17 points. But uh, Trump is spending most of his resources now on trying to capture the Midwest. So I could see him doing that in Pennsylvania, but I cannot see him capturing Wisconsin. And Florida, I think while the senior vote could end up going to Biden, uh, Trump is making quite a few inroads, could be making some inroads in with the Latino community, especially because the Cubans, Americans tend to be leaning Republican traditionally. And with the leftward shift of the Democratic Party, you could easily see how this would shift Florida to the Republicans. And The Real Clear Politics average has shown Trump to be above by 0.4. So it's not inconceivable that that Florida goes to Trump. It's also Georgia is a traditionally Republican state, and so that tradition could see Trump through to the finish line. North Carolina, it's traditionally been very close, but this you could see how it ends up going to Trump. The polls are, I would say, within the margin of error for Trump to make a stand there. So, so for instance, this one showing him down 1%. But generally speaking, there is a trend towards Biden winning the state. So for the sake of this prediction, I will stay in the Trump column. So will Ohio, so will Pennsylvania, so will North Carolina, so will Georgia, so will Florida. And this makes the recent Democratic advances in Arizona so critical. It means that if Biden carries Arizona, which is leading he's leading Trump there by 3 points. If he does that, he wins the election, because Michigan will be going blue, Wisconsin will be going blue, uh, but Pennsylvania is a real toss-up state, and I think the polls are probably understating Trump's advantage there. Is As I said, especially with the fracking. With the fracking issue, and now recently there are riots uh, in Philadelphia, which that could shift voters to Trump's law and order message. Obviously important, but and even if you give Trump Maine second, sorry, Maine second, that still means that Biden, with the slimmest of margins, slimmer than even Bush in 2000, ends up winning the election. You can bet, and I would say rightfully so. If the states end up being under 1%, that Trump will end up contesting. And there's been a recent Supreme Court case ruled in favor that you could continue to uh, count the votes in Pennsylvania of voting by mail three days after the election. In that scenario, Pennsylvania would still end up going to Trump. So it seems like this map. I haven't seen that much discussion of it, but I think it's extremely likely. And if we get Trump winning Trump winning the second district, which is why he's been there in the past 2 days. He's trying to make a push. He realizes that this map is possible. No, because every electoral college uh, point in this scenario will be end up counting. So it seems like he's looking at Florida going red. He's looking at Pennsylvania going red, and Iowa and Ohio, which is why he's moved on to looking at Nebraska. So I think this is a very interesting map, but ultimately I think, and in this case, it ends up going to the House. Who knows what happens with the House this in this election? But it seems like Biden will end up winning in Nebraska second district, and that's with the bare minimum. So he will end up having a mandate. He won't end up having a mandate. He wins the election if he managed to get past the hurdles of potentially being contested and or recounts in some of these states. Look at potential recount in Arizona. Look at a potential recount in Pennsylvania or Michigan. Though Michigan and Wisconsin, I see less likely as Biden appears to be leading, especially with Wisconsin with the recent increase in coronavirus cases. So let's just have a look at the Arizona polls to just see how much Biden has made this advance over there. Arizona. So it used to actually be Trump leading, though this was earlier in the year where Trump was making more inroads with even with the African American community with the State of the Union address, or even he was trying to broaden his appeal to, but now he seems to be more limited to his base, and obviously it was tighter in March because Trump at that point didn't know was seen to have a good messaging on coronavirus, but Biden has consistently led throughout. He has consistently led throughout the. So I so I think, and it's been announced by the Trump campaign that but Trump will be pouring all his resources into Minnesota, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. So because Pennsylvania and Ohio are more favorable to Trump, uh, even if Pennsylvania is ultimately being led by Biden, you could see why he would do this in the context of Pennsylvania. Anyway, that's it from me. I will probably be coming out with a final prediction. I do think that Pennsylvania will end up going to Biden, but I think Biden has to end up considering this map, and Trump is definitely considering this map. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and see you again soon. Bye.